to be national government that is managed through national government administrative structures. And that is why yesterday we had this problem, where the National Assembly has come up with a parallel bill on the equalization fund, because they still think that that money is theirs, that money is for their control, but we allowed it to happen, Madam Speaker. I wish Senator Faki was here. He would have told us that he promised this House that let us pass these regulations to allow access to the fund, because the fund had not been drawn for a long time for lack of regulations. And he promised, and he told us here that the government had promised that we're going to bring amendments. To date, I do not think the amendments that have been brought. And so that is why we must annul these regulations, so that no one promises us that they'll be amended. They will never be amended out of experience. Madam Speaker, let me finalize by calling upon my colleagues that whatever we are doing here in this House is our primary responsibility as elected leaders. Madam Speaker, a poll was conducted in the United Kingdom to find out what the public expects of members of parliament. Lawmaking was like the last priority or the last expectation. If a similar poll was to be conducted here in Kenya, Madam Speaker, I can tell you that the people we represent, their expectation of a member of parliament, including senator and member of National Assembly, expectation number one is to build classrooms. Expectation number two, to issue bursaries. Number three, to attend funerals. Number four, to issue handouts without fail. Number five is to attend rallies where you can insult imaginary and real enemies. And number 5, 6 could be issuance of statements. Lawmaking is the least glamorous and is the least considered job of a member here. Madam Speaker, I see and I admire even the new members of this parliament. Senator Sifuna, he joined in this 13th parliament. He is here not just because he's a whip, but he believes that the core mandate, the critical duty of a legislator is to legislate, not empowerment rallies, even though I saw him doing an empowerment one the other day. But it is not the money that caught my attention. It was the conversation that caught my attention. But that's a story for another day. But he knows that being in this House is the reason why the people of Nairobi elected him. Madam Speaker, the senator from Nandi, he is in this House religiously, even though he's a bit of a noisy one, but he knows that that is the core mandate of a senator or a representative who has been brought here. Let me call upon my brothers and sisters who have been elected that at the end of the day, the funerals you contribute to, the handouts you give, they'll be like no one will remember them, Madam Speaker. Out of my experience, it is the last person to do a Harambee who is remembered. The Harambee you did in 2021, 2022, 2023. In 2026, your opponent will do a bigger Harambee. He'll come with Farouk to do a bigger Harambee. All your small Harambees will have been forgotten. But your record and active participation in Parliament will live on. Madam Speaker, today we went to do prayers for Phoebe Asio. And everyone reminds Phoebe Asio for the motion that she introduced in this House that called for gender equity, that called for opening up the space. People did not eulogize her because she did a Harambee somewhere and donated desks, or because she sorted out some boys in some center. People like Martin Shikuku are remembered for their speeches and statements in this House. People like George Anyona, it's not because of their donations. And so as we head into the weekend, and I know some of my colleagues are going to board choppers and are going for empowerment things, please, let us focus on policy, legislation, regulation that can provide a level playing field for all Kenyans to be able to access opportunities, for all Kenyans to get empowerment. The idea of donating 64 shillings to women groups or 1,000 shillings to women group is tokenism, is a handout culture. And Madam Speaker, the party that I subscribe to, the ODM party, has always been against using Harambee as a model for development, because Harambee fuels corruption. When someone whose salary at net is 150,000 is donating 5 million in 1 month, that is corruption looking at you straight in the eye. And Madam Speaker, we are not going to grow this country if we continue with this pretense of empowerment rallies and empowerment arambes. That cannot be our model for development. Madam Speaker, I support, yes.
Senator Kajwang, do you want to be informed?
Cautiously, yes. Very cautiously.
Madam Speaker, I want to inform my chair, Park, and I like his eloquence, that the ODM Secretary General, Senator Sifunda, donated 1 million in Saboti, Amis. So does it mean, if he says they don't subscribe, does it mean there is that there should be clarity on what he say?
Senator Kajwang.
Madam Speaker, that is a frivolous point of information. My Secretary General declared the source of his contribution. He declared, including members of this House, and so he fully accounted for it. Madam Speaker, with those many remarks, I support the report of the committee.
Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also take this opportunity to put my voice on this report on the delegated legislation chaired by Honorable Mofaya and the members on this issue of null the report on this environmental report. Honorable Speaker, I sincerely speaking want to support and even thank the committee for going against what is not supposed to be, because you see they are also working under pressure. But this is a report that has been submitted to this House with the stakeholders' engagement, where they have engaged the stakeholders also informed the committee on the regulation that the state corporation has been using, or even the PS or the ministry has been using, without passing through passing through Parliament. Honorable Speaker, it is true that government need to use or even to regularize or operationalize regulations that have gone through this House, Honorable Speaker. And in most cases, we have seen a number of regulations, guidelines that are not going through, that have not come through this House, being operationalized by the ministries or state corporations, and it becomes a very big problem to the members of the public and to the entire nation. For in terms of charges, in terms of punitive charges, or even penalties, or through financial or even charges that are there in that regulations. And it is important always for us to have, as a House that is constitutionalized, given mandate to go through these regulations and even acts of Parliament to come up with what is important. And that is why we are supposed to go through public participation as a Senate, also as Parliament also. So it is always important that if this committee come in with a resolution that we null these regulations, it is important that we go through quite in order. And Honorable Speaker, I would be it would be very interesting if this committee also will go through several regulations that are used within the several acts. Honorable Speaker, it will be very interesting to look at the regulation that is being used through with the SHA right now. It will be very interesting for the chair of this committee to go through the regulations that are being used to operationalize SHA. The same case to the regulations that are being used to operationalize Hustler Fund. Honorable Speaker, these are the important regulations that we really need to go through as this Parliament. And as a committee, I really want to urge and request this committee to go through the regulations that are being used in several acts that we've passed when the ministries and state corporations are implementing these acts. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I also want to support the committee recommendations to null this report. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, there are no more requests, so I call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. I want to sincerely thank my fellow members for having generous contribution to this very important debate. This debate, Madam Speaker, has generated a lot of interest from across the divide. Very many members have enriched the report of the committee. And as the chairman of this committee, Madam Speaker, I'm very, very impressed because the core business of this House, Madam Speaker, is to legislate. And this House today has observed that law, that's power. And I'm happy, Madam Speaker, because I don't want to go into details of why we recommended for an element of the report, because that matter has been properly it has been properly processed by quite a number of debaters who have been able to process the whole process. So, Madam Speaker, to sum up, I would request you that pursuant to section standing order number 66.3 of the Senate standing orders, I request for the Department of the putting of the question to a later date, owing to the fact that the House doesn't have a quorum to that effect.
The putting of the question is so deferred. Next order. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order number 43, I hereby wish to reorganize the order of business and call that we move on to Order number 23.
Order number 23, motion, report of the Standing Committee on energy, on the county oversight and networking engagements in Wajir County.
Chair, Energy Committee, Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to move this motion on behalf of the Chair. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Senate Standing Committee on Energy on the county oversight and networking engagement in Wajir County undertaken on Friday, 25th October 2024, as laid on the table of the Senate. Madam Speaker, I present this report for consideration and approval by the House pursuant to Standing Order number 223, subsection 6 of the Senate Standing Orders. Madam Speaker, pursuant to this, its mandate under Standing Order 228, subsection 3 of the Senate Standing Orders, to provide oversight and to consider all matters relating to fossil fuel exploration, development, production, maintenance, and regulation of energy in line with the resolution at its sitting held on 8th October 2024, the Standing Committee on Energy resolved to undertake a series of county visits, which included, Madam Speaker, going to Wajir County, amongst others. Madam Speaker, these visits were aimed at assessing key factors affecting the energy subsector at the county level, with a particular focus on historically marginalized counties in the northern frontier, major urban centers and cities, as well as other counties situated especially in the North Rift, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, one of them is my own county, Elgeyo-Marakwet County, where the last mile connectivity is actually below 40%, and one of the sub-counties is standing at around 15%. Madam Speaker, in this regard, the committee conducted an oversight visit to Wajir County on 25th October 2024. During the visit, the committee held meetings with the governor and members of the county executive and members of county assembly of Wajir County, and national and regional representatives of the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, the REREC. The committee also toured Wajir KBLC substation and visited key energy-related projects within the county, including the Wajir County Recycling Plan, an industrial park, and a teachers training college in one of the constituencies, Honorable Speaker. And the community are very grateful, especially to the member of parliament who used CDF to put up a teacher training college. And while we were there, Madam Speaker, they had over 200 P1 students who were training to be a primary teachers, Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, during these engagements, the committee sought to establish the status of the last mile connectivity projects implemented by REREC, with a particular focus on historically marginalized counties, as I have stated, in the northern frontier and also northern part of Northern Rift Valley, Honorable Speaker. The committee recognized that despite significant progress evidenced by approximately 9.7 million Kenyans homes already connected to electricity, as of late 2024, the pace of connectivity in remote and underserved regions remain a concern, with the government targeting to reach at least 10 million households by the end of 2025 and to achieve universal access by 2030, Madam Speaker. In its deliberations, the committee noted persistent barriers to last mile connectivity, including the high cost of internal wiring for consumers, which remain expensive for many low-income and rural households, especially the arid and semi-arid areas. Madam Speaker, in this particular one, we said, well, when homes are being put up, we want Kenya Power to also allow the contractors who are putting up houses to submit the electricity certificate, Madam Speaker, because sometimes homes are put up, electricians are invited to do wiring, and they are supposed to pay additional fees to allow their certificates to be used, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, additionally, limited and delayed disbursement of funds to implementing agencies such as REREC has been contributed to slow project completion rates. The committee noted that as of 2023, approximately 75% of the Kenyan households have access to electricity. However, access rates in marginalized counties, particularly those in the northern frontier, remain significantly lower, sometimes below 30%. In fact, this below 30%, Madam Speaker, is an overstatement. As I've told you, a county like Elgeyo-Marakwet County, which is not in the northern frontier, is about 32%. One of the constituencies is 15. So basically, in the northern frontier, they are below 20%. Most of the towns, it's mainly the towns that are having electricity, Madam Speaker. The committee observed with concern that Wajir County remains unconnected to the national electricity grid, rendering it world dependent on localized power generation. At the time of the committee's oversight visit, Madam Speaker, it was established that county's electricity supply was primarily reliant on 4 diesel generators. And you know, we are moving away from fossil fuel, we are going to green energy, Madam Speaker, but then they rely entirely on generators. Kenya Power informed the committee that it was its substation serving the county relies on 4 diesel generators, and only 2 of which are owned by KBLC. The other 2 are leased from private entities, Madam Speaker. During the committee's visit, one of the generators was not even functional. So basically, they were only on 2, while the other was functioning at less than 40% of its total capacity. Consequently, there is an over-reliance on the two best least generators, resulting in frequent power outages and short-letting, which has undermined security, sparked public unrest, disrupted essential services, and negatively impacted local businesses. If you remember, sometimes last year, Madam Speaker, there was an arrest in Wajir as a result of lack of power, Madam Speaker, that it's cost some lives. The committee recommended that the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum should give priority to historically marginalized off-grid counties, particularly Wajir, in future power transmission projects, and submit visibility studies for the proposed Garissa-Wajir transmission line. There has also been a proposal, Madam Speaker, to extend the line also from Sholo all the way to Marsabit, to Wajir, and to Mandera, Madam Speaker, to ensure that this part of the community of Kenya are served by green energy. Additionally, Kenya Power and Lighting Company should procure and install modern energy-efficient generators to replace the outdated ones in Wajir and implement a robust maintenance schedule reporting progress within 6 months. Madam Speaker, we are almost due very soon, as soon as the House resolves and adopts this report, Madam Speaker, the 6 months begins for Kenya Power to report back to the House. The Office of the Auditor General should conduct a special audit of KPLC's inventory management in Wajir, focusing on generators and stored electricity materials, and submit its finding also within 3 months. Madam Speaker, the committee also recommended that the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, through its agencies, KPLC and REREC,